Yeah. Speaking of another team that isn't a powerhouse anymore, Clemson versus Georgia. Clemson getting blown out 34-3. I mean, this one was close going into the third. Um, and then Georgia just you saw the talent start to take over. The wide receivers looking great, quarterback looking great. And I don't know. When I was watching this game, I just felt like yeah, Georgia's gonna take over. I think I live bet the over on the score overall was like 28 at half.
Yeah.
So I was like, definitely they're not gonna contain Georgia that much longer. So what do you feel from Clemson this year?
I think they're still a team that can win the ACC. I mean, even then, that's kind of a toss up because Miami looked so good. They looked pretty dominant. If you had to like choose today who it was going to be, it was probably going to be Miami. But I mean, the ACC is also just ass all in general. So that's cool. But Dabo's got to change, man. I mean, you can't do it. You can't do it without utilizing the transfer portal. And you don't need to be Deion Sanders at Colorado getting a brand new team every single season. You could be Ohio State, where it's like, okay, we only have a few holes that we need to fill. Who is going to help us out here? Who can get us to where we need to be? You need wide receivers. You've already shown that as of right now, you just do not have the horses. Why wouldn't you go out and grab somebody? Why wouldn't you somebody have somebody to help you out as your team? Your quarterback is not good. When they started off, this is what again setting the tone for me early in these games. I felt really confident with Clemson coming in because the storyline was Dabo is going to do it his way. Clemson is going to find a way to win. They are going to prove everybody wrong because now they have a 12-team playoff, and if they make it, they are going to make some noise. I was like, okay, cool. They start off the game, and they do a little, just quick QB rollout, dump off pass to the running back, and he misses him by a mile. And it was like, okay, the lights are too bright. It is not going to happen. So this offense was just stagnant the entire game. I think they only scored 3 points realistically. So yeah. I, what can you say, Dabo? Good luck in the hit the transfer portal, bro, because it is. And then afterwards to get up there and be like, hey, it doesn't matter what the score was. It matters how we played. Well, your team played like ass
Hmm. Yeah, and I know Klubnik got a lot of hate. Quarterback
because he
at
was bad.
Clemson.
He was fucking
Yeah,
bad.
I mean, I'm sure he'll bounce back. But it was a tough week one matchup with Georgia. I wanted to talk really quick. Everyone is kind of saying how Georgia's dominant. The ACC isn't as good. ACC went 3-1 versus the SEC this weekend. Um, yeah, with Miami kind of headlining that. How are we feeling about SEC this year? I mean, it wasn't like their dominant teams were losing. It was kind of more middle of the pack, bottom of the pack. Um, but interesting stat to see starting off the year, ACC kind of beating the SEC.
But the ACC is not good. Like, let's just be real.
I'm just throwing out a number in defense of the ACC.
Okay, so it was Vanderbilt that
Yeah.
upset Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech was supposed to be a sneaky playoff team. It was a dark horse. People were feeling overconfident about it because they were bringing back so many starters. And Vanderbilt went out there with a freshman quarterback and beat the shit out of, or not beat the shit out of, beat them. Um, even though they are what many people think is the worst SEC team in that conference.
Hmm.
So I don't know, man. What are your thoughts on that? Because I think the ACC is poor. I even tweeted out that I think that e- this was after I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, Miami was actually really good, but I was like, Notre Dame should just take the bye week of whoever wins the ACC. That's how fucking bad it is. But I
I
was being over dramatic.
Miami's clearly like head and shoulders above a lot of the teams, but I think we are going to see kind of a come down to earth when they play out of conference. Uh, I think Miami's good, but how good are they really going to be if they play a Georgia, if they play uh, a Ohio State? Like I don't know how good they will hold up. I kind of want to see their schedule really quick.
Yeah, so I'm
They
pulling it
don't.
up right now.
Yeah, they play Virginia Tech. Like, who's good that they're gonna play?
They
Cal.
actually have a soft schedule coming up, like,
Their
they
schedule
could
is
run the table. Yeah, they could run the table, and so if you had your biggest te so let's go ahead and just talk about Miami really quick. So Miami just dog walks Florida at the Swamp. Funny story about that, it was Florida announced that it was going to be a whiteout game, and then, like, days later, Miami announced that they were going to be wearing their all white jerseys. Pretty crazy. And then they had recruits there. Florida had recruits there on a visit. After the shellacking that they gave to the Gators, they Hurricanes go to the end zone and talk to the recruits and are like, "What are you doing? This we run Florida. Come to the U." So bad that there's even a picture of one guy who's on a visit. He's in Florida gear at his Florida visit on Florida campus, throwing up the U. So that it's just embarrassing. What
It's
Billy
tough.
Napier has done to this Florida program is an embarrassment. He should be fired, but they have one of the hardest schedules out there. It is insane. And who is going to want to step up and coach that? I think that they're going to have to keep Billy Napier the rest of this year, even though it's going to be bad. And hopefully they can salvage just based off their reputation of Florida and get a good coach in this offseason. But they should have done it this year.
I think like 4 losses this year, you'd say it's a success for Florida with that schedule. But staying with Miami, this Miami schedule is so soft. I mean, their biggest test is they play Florida State, and we just saw Florida State lose, and we'll see how they handle tonight. But Florida State, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, Syracuse, like I would put all my money on Cam Ward to win the Heisman after looking at this schedule.
I mean, maybe Louisville's gonna test them, but yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot of like they're gonna run the table on this. This was their hardest thing. This was
They should.
their biggest test going to Florida, going to the swamp. People were gonna be excited about it. But Cam Ward was already like he is cool as a cucumber. He is calm as hell. He is bringing in that team vibes with him. They took his leadership and rolled with it. Uh, One thing that he said was like, "This wasn't even a good crowd. Like, we need to teach Florida to like how to cheer because what they should have done was been really loud when we were in the huddle, not just when we lined up. USC and Oregon were better." And I was like, "Dude, that's cold. That's
Keep it.
cold blooded."
I mean, yeah.